Good evening. You are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends cables of greetings to the presidents of Algeria, Venezuela and Cape Verde. The Ministry of Health announces 10 deaths and 1,177 new cases of COVID-19 and 799 new recoveries. And the U.S. Congressional Research Service describes the economic relations between the Sultanate and the United States as distinguished, and the foreign policy of Oman is based on mediation to solve regional disputes. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq has sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Abdul Majid Tebboune of Algeria on his country's Independence Day anniversary. His Majesty the Sultan also sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency Nicolas Maduro, President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, on his country's Independence Day anniversary. And His Majesty sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President George Carlos Fonseca of Cape Verde on his country's National Day. The Ministry of Health announced 10 deaths of COVID-19 cases, which brings the total number of COVID-19 fatalities in the Sultanate to 203. The ministry also announced 1,177 new confirmed cases of COVID-19, which brings the total number registered in the Sultanate to 45,106. The Ministry of Health stresses that 799 new cases have been recovered, which brings the total number of COVID-19 recoveries in the Sultanate to 26,968.
Back to work is a step of hope for the best to come. Here are the instructions that will protect you from coronavirus. Wear masks while leaving your house by following proper procedures. Keep a physical distance of at least 2 meters away from others. Follow the main hygienic procedures of washing or sanitizing hands from time to time. Avoid using elevators as much as possible, and if you have to use it, ensure less number of people to guarantee physical distance from one another. Gatherings at entrances, waiting rooms, offices, meeting halls and prayer places are forbidden. If you have any symptoms of the disease, immediately contact the bodies concerned specified by the Ministry of Health. By adhering to these instructions, it will assist you in preventing from contracting the COVID-19. Stay safe.
The U.S. Congressional Research Service described the economic relations between the Sultanate and the United States as distinguished, saying that the United States is one of the largest trading partners of the Sultanate. The report stressed that the Omani economy and manpower are characterized as diverse, praising the Sultanate's efforts to accelerate the economic diversification. The report said that Washington had exported in 2018 and 2019 goods to the Sultanate at the value of $2 billion and imported goods from the Sultanate at the value of $1.1 billion. It added that the free trade agreements between the two countries had contributed to increased partnerships among Omani and American companies in many industries, pointing out that 2040 Vision strategy is to attract foreign investments to strengthen the Sultanate's position as a trade hub. The report added that Duqm Special Economic Zone will play a main role in commercial linkage between China and Europe. The report also pointed out to the foreign policy of the Sultanate based on mediation to solve regional disputes and refraining from direct military intervention in such disputes. The novel coronavirus has killed at least 526,000 people, 663, since the outbreak emerged in China last December. At least 11.11% of these cases of coronavirus have been registered in 196 countries and territories. Of these, more than 5.71 million are now considered recovered. The United States is the worst hit country with 129,437 deaths from almost 2.8 million cases. At least 790,404 people have been declared recovered. After the US, the hardest hit countries are Brazil with 63,174 deaths from 1.54 million cases, the United Kingdom with 44,131 deaths from 284,276 cases, Italy with 34,833 deaths from 241,184 cases, and France with 29,893 deaths from 203,367 cases. Europe overall has 198,878 deaths from 2.7 million cases. Asia, 36,998 deaths from 1.43 million cases. And the Middle East, 17,298 or 89 deaths from 800,681 cases. And Africa at 10,891 deaths from 449,376 cases. The pandemic may have slowed down in much of continental Europe, but infection clusters among seasonal agricultural workers are preoccupying health authorities in Spain. Some farming areas have brought back the first localized restrictions since the country left behind a strict coronavirus lockdown. A country near Lleida has gone into lockdown after recovered infections have doubled in the past week. Many of them are tied to the cheap labor that follows the ripening of different crops across the country. This year, migrants eager to recover from the economic freeze have exceeded the demand. Those who can't afford cramped shared apartments from the city center. In the town of Fraga, where fruit processing plants dot the surrounding farmland of lush orchards, 360 infections over the past 2 weeks have forced authorities to bring back the first localized restrictions. Tokyo Governor Yuriko Koike today urged residents of the Japanese capital not to travel beyond its borders as new coronavirus infections topped 100 for a third day. Tokyo confirmed 131 new cases of infections of the coronavirus today. Cases in Tokyo have risen to a 2-month high, driven by the spread of the virus in the capital's night spots. Despite the 3-day string of high infections, Japan Economy Minister Yasutoshi Nishimura said the government was not planning to reintroduce a state of emergency, telling a news conference it is looking at overall conditions, including the capacity of medical system, when deciding the need for the emergency. Curbs on movement pushed the world's third largest economy into recession in the first quarter, with a deeper contraction expected in the April-June period. Heavy rain in southern Japan has triggered flooding and mudslides, leaving more than a dozen people presumed dead, about 10 missing and dozens stranded on rooftops waiting to be rescued. More than 75,000 residents in the prefectures of Kumamoto and Kagoshima were urged to evacuate following pounding rains overnight. The evacuation was not mandatory, and it was not known how many actually fled. Large areas of Hitoyoshi town inundated in muddy waters that gushed out from the Kuma River. Several people were standing atop a convenience store as they waited for rescuers. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said up to 10,000 troops are being mobilized. Still to come in our news bulletin. A five-star hotel in Vietnam made a gilded exterior extending into parts of the interior and covering everything from bathtubs to basins and even toilets. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The oil activities in the Sultanate witnessed an increase by 0.7% by the end of the first quarter of 2020, recording around 2.5 billion Omani riyals. According to National Center for Statistics and Information, the total value of non-oil activities in the same period reached around 4.6 billion riyals, recording a decrease by 6% compared to the same period in 2019. The Sultanate's gross domestic product by the end of the first quarter of 2020 reached around or more than 6.7 billion Omani riyals, recording a decrease by 3.9%. The National Center for Statistics and Information clarified that the value of crude oil by the same period reached 2.1 billion riyals. Meanwhile, the natural gas activities recorded a decrease by 9.1%. Muscat Securities Market, MSM, witnessed a decline in its main index during the first half of the current year by 11.6%. The index succeeded to rise during the first half of the current year to 4,197 points in the trading of the 23rd of February, approaching the level of 4,200 points amid a wave of optimism among MSM and other Gulf stock markets before the spread of coronavirus pandemic and closure of many cities over the world. The market witnessed during the current year a number of increases, especially its increase of 98 points in January and 91 points in April. Duqm Quarries Company announced that it has achieved 5 integrated technical studies to enhance the in-country value of some minerals available in Duqm Special Economic Zone. It added that it would offer them to the local and foreign private sectors to enter into joint investments in order to establish factories in the zone and contribute in enhancing the added value of the mining sector in the Sultanate. These studies include the establishment of factories in the field of producing calcium oxide and calcium carbonate, cement clinker, glass sheet, and sodium carbonate. A five-star hotel in Vietnam's capital, Hanoi, has launched with a luxury twist that it hopes will lure in guests. A gilded exterior extending into parts of the interior and covering everything from bathtubs to basins and even toilets. The aptly named Dolce Hanoi Golden Lake Hotel hopes to lure guests as Vietnam's tourism sector slowly reopens after closing during the coronavirus pandemic. The hotel, which is owned by Vietnam's Hoa Binh Group and managed by US-based Wyndham Hotels and Resorts Incorporated, marks a contrast to some of the weather-worn Soviet-era buildings nearby. The hotel has also a 24-karat gold-tilled rooftop pool. A stay at the five-star 342-room hotel comes at the price of at least $250 per night. Around a ton of gold was used to cover the hotel. Vietnam has been successful in containing the coronavirus outbreak with only just over 350 cases and no reported deaths. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends cables of greetings to presidents of Algeria, Venezuela and Cape Verde. The Ministry of Health announces 10 deaths and 1,177 new cases of COVID-19 and 799 new recoveries. And the U.S. Congressional Research Service describes the economic relations between the Sultanate and the United States as distinguished, and the foreign policy of Oman is based on mediation to solve regional disputes. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.